It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, and yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. Thanks for tuning in on a Tuesday. Tune in Tuesday.
It's also a different kind of day. There's another name for today.
Stat that blew our mind day?
No.
Player of the Week day.
It's like a federal holiday.
It shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't. It's the Valentine's Day.
Ah, yes. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
It's the day where Twitter explodes with a bunch of cheesy Valentine's Day themed cards. I always see the sports ones. Those, in my opinion, are the best ones because that's like you can just create a bunch of them. If you're creative, I tried thinking of some and I just couldn't come up with any. Like, all right, can I do some with the Aggies? I was like, no, I just can't. I'm just not that creative.
I saw the one with now I can't remember his name. The corner defensive player for Philadelphia. It was called for holding late in the game. Juju Smith-Schuster put it out. Just want to hold you. With a picture of that Philadelphia player. Just want to hold you this Valentine's Day.
There was one I saw where it said
something like that.
There's one I saw that said, "I'm surprised by how well this is working out," and had a picture of Lauri Markkanen on it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we're going to have a Valentine's themed game tonight. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Valentine's references tonight in the Spectrum.
A lot of people in hearts. Maybe somebody will dress up as Cupid.
Yeah.
This will be the day that
Wearing
Wild
red.
Bill dresses up as Cupid. I think he did that once anyway. Or at least he dressed up in like a pink tutu at some point. But yeah, this would be the game where you dress up. You get somebody who looks like me to just wear a Cupid outfit.
Yeah. It's good stuff. 435-339-0321 if you want to chime in on the Full Court Press text line today. We will share a stat that blew our minds. We'll get into a player of the week who stood out to us over this past week. We'll highlight a specific high school player later this hour, part of our high school prep coverage that we do for Region 11.
Yes.
I'm not going to give the full name.
It's because you never get it right.
No, I don't.
I don't know if you ever actually have gotten it
It's
right.
just too many words. I do know it's sponsored by McDonald's, and we appreciate their sponsorship.
You edit my article every single day, and it's there.
I know.
The full name. There is about 11 words in it, though.
Yeah. We never got to pick six from Monday, so we will reveal who won that, how well did we do, and trying to predict what would happen over the weekend. Utah Jazz, they were in action last night in Indiana with NBA All-Star starter Lauri Markkanen and NBA three-point shootout contestant Lauri Markkanen. The three-point shootout participants were released today. I don't know if you saw that. And Lowry's got some pretty stiff competition. Competing in the three-point shootout this year in Salt Lake City, it'll be Lauri Markkanen. It will also include Anthony Simons, Buddy Hield, Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, Kevin Huerter, Tyler Hero, and Tyrese Halliburton. It's a pretty good list.
That's some good three-point shooters. Some of those guys are the, roll three-point shooters, which those can be the deadliest ones in the three-point shootout. You think, Damian Lillard, and it's like, well, not necessarily. Part of Damian Lillard's skill is that he just hits really tough contested threes or pull-up threes. Of course, that usually means he's a good set 3-point shooter anyway, but still. Get a guy like Buddy Hield, who's been one of the most consistent 3-point shooters for pretty much his entire career, and one of the most efficient at higher volume 3-point shooters. That's a guy to watch out for. That's a sleeper pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting group. You got some bigger guys along with some smaller ones, so size-wise, it's interesting too.
Yeah, that's the way it used to be. A 3-point shooter was that 6'4" white guy, and now it's anyone.
Well, last year was Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, like you got these 7-footers that can shoot threes. Like the skill used to be, isolated a lot more to certain positions. Centers were post-up guys, guards were ball handlers, and now you've got 7-footers. Nikola Jokic is the best passer in the game, and he's a center.
Why isn't he in the skills challenge?
He wanted to go home.
He just
I guess
wants
he's in the
a break.
All-Star. I guess he's in the All-Star game, so he can't go home anyway.
No, he'll be on the sidelines.
So it's just the skill has just spread out to every single position. Any position can do anything, and it's why we've evolved into positionless basketball in some ways. 7-footers are usually still pretty much always centers and power forwards, but it's like anybody can take on any role. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 6'11" guy, can function as your point guard. Same with Nikola Jokic, an actual center. Joel Embiid.
Problem is you can't have point guards act as centers.
I know that's the thing.
It doesn't go the other way very well.
It doesn't. But point guards have been posting up for the longest time. It's just they could never do it against taller people.
Yes.
But hey, you had Magic Johnson playing point guard all the way back 6'8". So.
Yeah. It's true. He was one of the originators for big guys handling the ball like he does. Now it's very commonplace.
Yep.
So, a lot of different topics here on the show today. Certainly we'll be previewing Utah State and Air Force, Mountain West showdown. I don't know if it's much of a showdown. Utah State is favored by 13 in this one, but the Aggies really need to get back on track. This is their first losing streak they've had all year. They've never lost 2 games back-to-back all season. Yeah,
and it really shows how good this team is that they've, we had this conversation yesterday about being a good team, but they are. They're 19-7. We can talk about their ceiling, but, when your first losing streak comes in February, you've done something right during the season. Something has gone right. Or something has gone incredibly weird and you're like 15-15. And you just
win every other game.
That's where you haven't won 2 games in a row or lost 2 games in a row. That's just weird. But I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. So it's a nice thing to kind of hang your hat on, but in the end, given what else has happened, there's still a lot of, and this is kind of the low point for Utah State's kind of end of season hopes. There were hopes they could compete for a Mountain West title. That's not going to happen. There's hopes they get to the NCAA tournament. Those hopes are fading fast. So you're at the low point emotion-wise of the season. So now this is the chance to get back on track. Maybe Utah State scores 90 on Air Force. I don't know. Do they take out their rage on poor little Air Force?
They could. Yeah. Didn't they do that on Wyoming? They played them earlier in the year?
Something like that. Of course, Air Force just came off beating New Mexico. Although New Mexico's looking like a less and less impressive opponent by the day.
Yes.
This is a team that went undefeated in non-conference play and is 6-6, 500 in the Mountain West. Like, that's crazy. The 3 teams that went dang near undefeated in non-conference play, UNLV, Utah State, New Mexico. Like, UNLV's down like at the bottom of the conference.
Yeah.
New Mexico's like smack dab in the middle. They're tied. There's a tie between 5 and 6 in the 11-team conference between New Mexico and San Jose State. And then Utah State, they've fared the best out of those teams, but they're still only 4th. So it's crazy how well you can do a non-conference and then just everyone seems to be getting eaten alive. To where at this point it's like, we were talking 5 teams in the NCAA tournament. At this point, we're 4 maximum.
Max. I think it's more likely 3 at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not all doom and gloom. I think there's still a chance, but it's a slim one for Utah State to be that 4th team. even though a number of publications still have New Mexico ahead of the Aggies, which is still a little perplexing. Though New Mexico does have a better, resume outside of the total win-loss. Some of the games that they have won, they've got more quad one wins than the Aggies do.
That's usually just how much of a problem it is that even though Utah State has the better record, they beat New Mexico head-to-head, they've done all these things, they have a higher NET, at least I think they do, and the fact that Utah State doesn't have any big wins, that keeps them out. And there's also the bias of New Mexico having been a top 25 team at one point, so they have that prestige. Utah State won't have that in anyone's mind.
Yeah, they've had moments where they've been in the top 25. But just pulled up Bracket Matrix, and it looks at dozens of different sites who try to project what the NCAA bracket will look like come March. And they have 4 Mountain West teams there. They have San Diego State as a 6 seed, Nevada as a 10 seed, Boise State also as a 10 seed, and New Mexico as an 11 seed. Utah State is out. They only show up in 4 brackets.
Yeah, it's not really. If New Mexico's going to be in, you put Utah State in. Utah State should be above New Mexico. Just plain and simple. But that's how convoluted the process of these brackets can be, that they. And it can be hard for Nashville because they're not boots on the ground with every single team in every single conference. So, but that's why it's important to get this kind of, I don't know if shock value is the right term, but that's what those big games do for you.
So there are 100 brackets that Bracket Matrix looks at, and San Diego State and Nevada are in every single one. They are listed in every single bracket. Boise State is listed in 97 of those 100 brackets. New Mexico is listed in 88. So that surprises me that New Mexico is still listed in as many brackets as they are, considering they've not been a great basketball team since January.
Yeah, usually recency bias can play a lot into these, but maybe if they're computer generated, if there's some of these brackets that are more computer focused, then maybe because those will take the whole season and they don't have the human element of what have you done for me lately. It's also surprising they'd still be in there after losing to Air Force. Granted, I don't know how many of them have been updated since then. I mean, it's been since, the 10th or 11th?
Yeah, you'd think that at least over the weekend.
Yeah, some of them might have updated.
But yeah, I mean, when you look at NET, Utah State's at 37 and New Mexico's at 48.
Yeah, it's just.
But New Mexico is 3-2 in quad one games. Utah State is 0-4.
Yeah, and that's the power of quad one games. That's where Utah State has blown it this year. They had their chances and they've fallen by the wayside. I mean, even 1-3 is almost exponentially better than 0-4.
Yes.
Because it means you were complete, and the fact that 3 of those quad one games were blowouts. At least 10 points to San Diego State on the road isn't
double digits. Yeah,
yeah, it's still double digits. 2 of them are blowout scores. So,
it shows you can't play very well against good teams.
Yeah, and you don't have something to balance out the bad losses. New Mexico has something to balance out its loss to Air Force, the fact that it's 6-6 in conference play.
New Mexico doesn't have any quad 4 losses. Utah State has 2.
Yeah.
So there you go. They have no quad 4 losses. They have 3 quad 1 wins. Their net isn't as good as USU's, but those 2 reasons are why they are in these brackets and USU is not. So it's a must-win game tonight. Really, every game from here on out is a must-win. There is no margin for error anymore.
Yeah.
They squandered that with that loss at San Jose.
Yeah, so that's why at this point, for me, and we'll keep having these conversations about the NCAA tournament, 'cause that's our job, but for me, a big part of this is just, all right, at this point, you got to be like the teams tried to be all season. Just throw all that noise out and say, all right, let's analyze this team and see if they can win the conference tournament. Are they trying to fix the errors? the games against Nevada and Boise State won't be so much about resume builders, but more about gauging, can this team compete with teams in the conference tournament? Because if they go in and they win solidly against Nevada and Boise State, you think, all right, this is a team that when you go to a neutral site, it'll be a bit of a toss-up. Because if you split home and away, then neutral site becomes interesting. Glad that cup is watertight.
Good thing the lid's on.
About messed my computer up. But anyway, yeah. So you watch the Nevada and Boise State games to gauge how much of a chance Utah State has in competing in a neutral site against a lot of these same teams, in the first, second, and championship rounds. Because this really is about how likely is Utah State to be able to make a run in the conference tournament. Because that's where 99.999% of their chances of getting to the tournament lie. There's maybe some world where they make it to the championship game, lose, and still make it in. Perhaps. Ain't banking on that. Just not banking on something like that with Utah State's current resume.
Yeah, I think to get, if they're in the championship game, that means they've beaten some good teams, but those will be at home or on a neutral site, as you've detailed. But if you get to the conference championship game in the Mountain West, with the resume that they do have, I think that would be enough to get to the NCAA tournament. Being in the semifinals, just being there, probably isn't quite enough.
No.
I think you have to be in the conference championship game to make it to the NCAA tournament.
Because here's
otherwise
the thing.
it's NIT or bust.
Yeah, here's the thing. Looking at how the conference tournament will probably line up. First round, you're looking at New Mexico, maybe San Jose State, depending on how those teams finish out. I'd probably guess New Mexico. Because there's right now a tie for 5th place. That 4-5 matchup, you get a bye, and then you play 4-5. And then if you win that game, you face number 1. That's San Diego State. That's your chance to get a quad 1 win. That would be your first quad 1 win. Then you go play likely either Nevada or Boise State, depending on who advances through that bracket, because the 2-3 will be on the other side of that. And if you beat one of them, I guess that'd be your second quad 1. But of course, again, at that point, if you win that game, you throw the resume out the window because it doesn't matter. You've gotten in. You punch your ticket. So the best the Aggies can do is get a quad 2 win in the first round of the conference tournament, a quad 1 in the semifinal by beating San Diego State, unless by some miracle San Diego State doesn't win that, which I don't know if that'd be good or bad at that point. You'd, at that point, have to win it because you couldn't improve your resume.
Well, it's if I'm reading this right, if the tournament started today, UNLV would play Air Force in the opening round, and let's assume that UNLV wins that game. They would play San Diego State in the second round. And who knows? UNLV on their own court. They've had some games where it's hard to figure out who this team is, but
yeah, but the winner of that
less
game,
likely.
The winner
but
of
then
that
the winner of
would,
that game would face the Aggies.
Yeah, they play
Considering
winner of the 4-5 matchup.
If Utah State were able to beat New Mexico.
Yeah. And then the other side of the bracket, you probably have Nevada or Boise State facing all the teams on that side. So, getting to the championship game and losing there, you'd likely have a quad 1 win because it would have probably meant you beat San Diego State. But I'd consider that a pretty tall task, and I'd guess Utah State probably going to lose, and I'd give them a decent chance to lose in the first round, to be honest. And then 90% chance of losing in the second round, provided they're facing San Diego State. But hey, I will stand by that I think Utah State can win the Mountain West Conference tournament. I think I'm more optimistic about the Aggies' ability to win the conference tournament than I think most people. I believe in this team.
Yeah, they've shown an ability to play some really great basketball. They've shown an ability to play good defense. It's just they haven't shown an ability to string it all together in one game against the top tier of this conference.
Yeah, me saying Utah State has a 90% chance to lose in that semifinal is just based on how they've played. But I know this team can. Some people say there's pretty much no chance. I say there really is a chance, and a fairly realistic one at that. 1 in 10 odds aren't the worst Utah State's ever faced and overcome. I mean, they beat like the 5th-ranked Aztecs a few years back.
That's true. Yes.
And so this team has the talent and capability of winning at the conference tournament. Do I think it's likely? Probably not.
Last year, Utah State went into the conference tournament as the number 7 seed, beat Air Force, and then lost to Colorado State. But as a number 7 seed, they hosted an NIT game last year. So, I mean, there is still a healthy amount of respect for the Mountain West as a league, and if Utah State can win out, turn things around, and they don't see any more losses until maybe a game or two into you can't win the opening round. You have to win at least your opening round in the conference tournament. But if they can get to the semifinals, is that enough? Maybe. I'm not
for the NCAA
I'm not entirely
tournament,
sure. There's just not a strong enough resume just yet.
But I think at this point, barring a complete meltdown, if Utah State wants to, they can host an NIT game. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's disappointing in some ways, but it's still making the postseason.
Yeah,
Not
it's a
everybody
strong
does that.
postseason. It's not the CBI or CIT or whatever.
Yeah.
NIT and NCAA, those are respectable postseason tournaments.
Yeah, you have a chance to play some exciting basketball, host a playoff game, and make some extra money.
9315, couple texts coming in. Statement from the pack sounds like a botched Valentine's, signed Cupid. And then, is there anybody we already played that will turn into a Q1 win?
The only hope was New Mexico, and I guess Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts is at 38.
Yeah,
So it's a possibility if Oral Roberts keeps moving up, because they've been on an upward trend over the last few weeks. If they keep moving up, that will turn into a quad 1 win for Utah State, because that game was in Logan. And so they need to get it to 30 for that to be considered a quad 1. New Mexico's not going to get back up into 30 at this point. So anyone outside of that, nobody's really that close. Oral Roberts is your best chance.
Yeah, the thing is, they've got 4 games left on the schedule. They're going to spend a lot of time in the Dakotas these next 2 weeks. They play North Dakota State, South Dakota, and South Dakota State in that order. Wow. It's kind of weird how that lined up. So they've only got 4 games left in their regular season. So I don't know if they can jump all the way up to above 38. Granted, South Dakota and North Dakota State are the 2nd and 3rd place teams in that conference. So maybe they bump up. I don't know where those teams.
South Dakota State is 166. North Dakota State is 226. North Dakota is 294, and South Dakota is 303.
So probably not.
Not really big resume builders there.
But Oral Roberts may go undefeated in the Summit League. But the fact that their 2nd place team is, what did you say, 116, South Dakota State?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a super impressive conference. Utah State might have almost gone undefeated in that conference.
Bradley, they're at 63. So
yeah, at this point, to jump up from just 38 to 30 would be fairly impressive, and it would require a big win, which Oral Roberts isn't going to get at this point.
Looking at opportunities for maybe those neutral site teams like Loyola Marymount, they're at 95. I don't think they're going to.
Don't they have to get to 50?
For a neutral site, yeah, they get up to 50. So that's not going to happen.
So like New Mexico is
Seattle's at 129.
Yeah, New Mexico is the biggest hope in conference, but they've started to fall off, and they've don't really have much left. I don't think they have that many big games left. Then Oral Roberts, they don't have enough big games left to make the final push.
No. Unless they end up winning their conference, and that there's enough of that happens there to move them 8 spots, and other teams have it's. For them, it has to be a zero-sum game. The only way they win is if other people lose.
Yeah.
And yes, they do have to win, but they need other people to lose. It won't be enough for them just to win. They'll need others to lose. So I think that's kind of I wouldn't put our hopes on that. It's our first time out here on the Full Court Press that we need to take. 435-339-0321. Talking about Utah State taking on Air Force tonight. Air Force Academy in town in the Spectrum. And we'll have full pregame coverage on our sister station, KVNU, with KVNU Game Day, Al Lewis and Jalen Moore. We'll hear from Ryan Odom, his thoughts about Air Force, last time the Aggies faced this team. And the Academy, they've got some players. They've got some dudes you have to watch out for. So we'll find out how things go there. And more from a couple other things we want to talk about. High school prep player of the week, our stat that blew our minds, and our other player of the week, and who won Pick 6. It's all coming up on the Full Court Press.
Want to set yourself apart from the competition? The Leadership MBA at Utah State University will help you lead companies and drive change in your organization. You can attend in person in Logan on Thursday evenings or take an interactive online class. Complete your MBA in as little as a year. Apply before March 1st to be considered for summer semester. Contact the MBA office for a waiver of the $55 application fee. Learn more at utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com.
Alpine Home Medical has been around for over 25 years. Can you believe that? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent. What keeps us coming to work every day? We're passionate about caring for you. From home and bathroom safety to transportation, mobility, recovery, oxygen, sleep, and more, come into any of our 10 locations today and let us take care of you.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit us at alpinehomemedical.com.
This is The Herd.
Attention listeners.
With Colin Cowherd.
When Kevin Durant left Steph Curry, I said, this is Mahomes going to play for the Jets because he has a friend. What are you doing? You're trading. You're not going from Golden State to Brooklyn. You're trading Steph for kooky Kyrie. That is nuts. Classic Kyrie Bates.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Own a small business or a farm? You thought about solar? Listen up. A new USDA grant was announced allocating $300 million for farmers and small business owners to put in solar. That's right. The government will help you get solar installed, covering 40% of the cost. And don't forget, as a business, you can save up to 50 or 60% more with federal and state tax credits. Second Sun Solar will install your system and help with the USDA paperwork. Call Second Sun Solar today at 435-363-9917 or online at utahsolardirect.com.
Hi, this is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. At White Pine, we value compassion, integrity, and service. We are committed to serving you and treating your family as our family. We will be here when you need us most, to listen, to help, and to provide exactly what your circumstances require. At White Pine, we promise to dedicate our time and attention to you and your family. We invite you to come by and meet us. We're confident you'll feel a difference.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, where we love giving things away.
Yes.
Especially when they're presented to us very last minute. During the break, we were presented with a 4-pack of tickets to go see tonight's game. Utah State and Air Force, Aggies, and Falcons will be squaring off tonight. And we want to make sure you get a chance to go. We want a full house, good, loud, home court advantage. Game starts at 7, but you have to be able to pick these tickets up by 5:30. That's the kicker.
So
our front office is going to close. So if you can't, so put this in your mind. If you want to win them, that's great, but you have to be able to use them tonight and be able to get here to our offices at 810 West, 200 North in Logan before 5:30. So if you meet those criteria and you can answer this question correctly, we'll give you 4 tickets to tonight's game. And Jason's got the question.
It was my idea, so it's
because
fitting.
if you read his preview, you'll have all the answers.
Yeah, I believe I put this in the preview. And it's also fairly easy to look up. But last time Utah State played Air Force, and we'll kind of discuss this point a little bit later in the show because Ryan Odom kind of talks about it a little bit. But Utah State shot a season-low 3-pointers, the fewest they've ever attempted in a game this season. How many did they attempt? What's the number? How many 3-pointers did they attempt?
So how many 3-point attempts from Utah State the last time they played Air Force this season? If you can correctly identify that, if you can use 4 tickets for tonight's game, and if you can get here before 5:30, I know that's a lot of qualifiers.
And make sure you call the right number.
435-752-1069.
Yeah, don't call the text line because I'll see it pop up that you're calling, but 1, I can't answer it. 2, I wouldn't if I could because it wouldn't come over the air.
435-752-1069. Season low in 3-point attempts. Last time the Aggies played Air Force, what was that number? How many attempts in that game?
All right, we got people calling in. I'm going to go to some of these texts. 8968 sent in a little bit earlier. Says, it is certain that BYU picked the right year to refuse to play the Aggies. And I keep thinking that. But it feels like, with how well BYU's played some opponents, like they'll lose to, I don't know, did they lose to like Pepperdine, or they've lost to a couple of West Coast teams that Utah State just handled. But then they play Gonzaga really well. It seems like BYU, and it's like this way in football too, where BYU will manage to be like average, but then they'll just get up and they'll beat ranked opponents or play really well against ranked opponents. It's really weird how they do that. And they do that in basketball too, and they just always get up for the Aggies as well, where they're one like a 10, 11-year streak of not having lost to the Aggies. So I feel like, this year's Aggies team is better, but Utah State's teams under Craig Smith were usually better than those BYU teams, but they'd still lose to them.
It's they've got their number. Something about that.
It's just how it is.
But speaking of numbers, no one has got the right number. We've had some really close guesses.
Somebody in the text chat is right.
But nobody has called in to correctly identify a season low in 3-point attempts. That happened the last time the Aggies played the Air Force Falcons. It's in Jason's preview on CashValleyDaily.com. But if you think you know what that answer is, 435-752-1069. So, still looking for it.
And see, we have somebody calling in. 88945 is calling in. You can't call in on
it's
the
a text.
text
It's a text thing. It doesn't work for phone calls.
Yeah,
unfortunately. So 435-752-1069. The season low in 3-point attempts. The last time they faced Air Force, what was that number?
I'll give some free advice. 8945. The answer you text in is actually wrong. So and if you want to text again, 435-752-1069. Although bad news, somebody may have just called in and got it right. We'll see in a second. Eric's on the phone. 4781, he has the correct answer. He texted in correctly, although he says, I already have tickets or I would call in. But so 4781, you were correct, and we'll have the correct answer in a minute here. So, it was a season low, and we'll get into this because it's something with Air Force's defense. Other teams have tried to limit Utah State in the past and done so successfully at times. Hasn't necessarily gone well for some of those teams, especially in non-conference play, where they moved Utah State off the 3-point line, but then there were games where Utah State was able to get to the rim. And those are games where Sean Bairstow can really often show off because that's one of his talents. He's a bit of a slasher. Max Shulga sometimes can have a good game. And also Dan Akin is usually a monster in a lot of those games where he'll do really well. All right, Eric, you're off the phone now. And I believe it sounds like somebody, based on the conversation I was hearing, got the answer right.
Yes, we got Tim got it correct.
There we go.
And at least I think that's what he said his name was. We had kind of a sketchy connection there. But, yes, he got the answer correct. And actually it was one of those who called in earlier who was really close but not quite right, went back and then called us back.
There you go. He had a chance. The first wave didn't get it. But, yeah, so the answer is 12. The Aggies in 471 points this out. He had the correct answer, but he had his tickets, so he saved the tickets for somebody else. But so the Aggies were 50% that night from three, so that was a positive. And, yes, they only took 12 threes, but they made 6, which isn't the fewest they've made in a game. It was the lowest three-point attempts they had, but not the fewest they made in a game. But they did most of their damage from inside the arc. I believe Odom said they shot 71% from 2 in the first half. They were just all over Air Force inside the paint, and that's where they were able to win that game. And it may be another key tonight. Air Force is going to try and run Utah State off the three-point line. And again, we'll hear from Odom about this. So the key really is going to be how will Sean Bairstow and Dan Akin, guys who thrive a bit more in the paint, how are they going to do? Can we see Stephen Ashworth still get open for a handful of threes, things like that?
21 of 27 from the free throw line. I mean, they lived at the free throw line in that game.
Yeah, it's just
got to be another big key for tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
If the three-point shot, if they're going to run the USU off the three-point line, then you got to find those other ways to get buckets. And that's still what they did last time in Colorado Springs. They attacked the basket, right? So they forced them into tough decisions, which created opportunities for Utah State to get to the free throw line. If they weren't able to get a mid-range shot or something right at the rim, then at least they're getting an undefended shot at the free throw line.
Yeah, so pay attention to, Stephen Ashworth, he actually still had 15 points in that game, but that's because he was 6 of 7 from 3, or 6 of 7 from the free throw line. And most everyone else had 2 or 3 free throw attempts, but I think, Sean Bairstow and Dan Akin, even though those two only had like 11 points for Bairstow and 9 for Akin, we've seen other games where, Loyola and I think San Francisco, I think those were games, if I remember correctly, Dan had solid games. Where when you run Utah State off the three-point line, you start creating space inside the arc for passes and dump-offs, that's where Dan Akin lives. And even Trevin Dorius can, since he's improved from the last game against Air Force, you can see him doing some things, especially because Air Force is a small team. Their tallest 2 guys, they got a couple guys, I think, at 6'7".
All right, we're going to take a timeout here on the Full Court Press. I got to get these tickets up front so we can hand these out. But we'll also get into our high school player of the week. A couple of interesting games last week, I should say. Girls' games are picking up tonight. But we had some games on Thursday and Friday, respectively, that allowed their teams to clinch region title. No matter what happens this week, these teams will win the Region 11 for both boys and girls. But we'll talk and highlight one specific player on those teams and what he or she is able to do. We'll give you more details coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
It's engagement season. Time to find the perfect ring. S.E. Needham Jewelers is known for beautifully cut diamonds at excellent prices. Guys, the sparkle is what matters most in the diamond you give your sweetheart. Our diamonds stand apart from those of other stores. Come view our diamonds under magnification. Select a diamond that fits your budget and then have it mounted in a ring that she'll love. Remember, you get S.E. Needham quality at internet pricing. Open Monday through Saturday 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Nothing compares to the warmth and feel that a wood stove provides. The 2-time Best of Northern Utah winning team says there's never been a better time to replace your old inefficient wood stove and install a new energy-efficient EPA-certified Vermont casting wood product in your home. The U.S. government is offering federal tax credits of 26% on your wood stove install. For Vermont casting units, that includes stoves, venting, and labor. Call or email Advanced Fireplace and Stove for a free in-home estimate. Call 435-752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
And now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
I'm not always sure what I get with Derek Carr, but Derek Carr can have those moments where you go, wow, he's really good. Then there are other moments where you go, he's not really good. Jimmy G, it feels like that's who he is. All he does is win football games. Or so I'm reminded all the times. I mean, they're both, good quarterbacks.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is locally owned and operated inside the beautiful new Three Peaks Medical Plaza in North Logan. Expect the most cutting-edge techniques, qualified doctors, and friendly staff to ensure the highest quality patient care. The ENT providers have extensive training to properly treat ear, nose, and throat conditions for adults and children. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat serves all of northern Utah and southern Idaho, accepting most insurance products including SelectMed. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for appointments and details. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, located in North Logan and Providence.
Let's talk about getting your car registered. What a pain! With registration and emissions, it takes hours. Valvoline Instant Oil Change in Logan, across from Aggies, will take that pain away. Stop in to get your oil changed and have the emissions test done. Then re-register your car. It's that easy, all in one stop. The best thing? You can stay in your car while their trained pros service your vehicle. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, 695 North Main. Open 7 days a week.
Spend less time at the post office. With Formax and Mint mailing systems from Les Olson IT, you can quickly, accurately, and easily process your outgoing mail and even save on postage. Fold your documents, stuff and seal your envelopes, print addresses, weigh and measure to apply proper postage, all with the click of a button. With multiple model options available, you're sure to find a Formax solution and Mint mailing device that perfectly fits your business needs.
Les Olson IT.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Once again, congratulations to Tim. I think it was Tim. I think that's the name he told me.
Just thought of the Monty Python scene. There are some who call me Tim.
Question mark. Yes. Utah State and Air Force squaring off tonight. 7 o'clock tip-off. 6 o'clock pregame on KVNU, 102.1 FM, 610 AM with Al Lewis and Jalen Moore. Interesting to hear their take as Utah State trying to get back on track. But before we talk more about that, we need to highlight high school hoops and the great basketball that's being played in Region 11. It continues, and we appreciate McDonald's for making it happen. But, Jason, who's our highlighted athlete this week?
Yeah, so last week we had a Skyview athlete. This week we have another Skyview athlete. Skyview guard, he's listed as a guard and a forward, so I just called him a wing in my article. It's Carter Davis of the Skyview boys team. He scored back-to-back 20-point games. He had, I believe, 21 against Logan. Now, Skyview played the second and third place teams in the region this week, went 2-0. Davis said the 21, as I said, against Logan, 23, which is a career high for him. He had 23 in the game against Ridgeline, where they rallied to win that game and clinch region. We'll talk about that in a bit, but Davis, obviously, he's a guy who can get going from three. He had 6 total threes this week, 3 in each game. He shot 60% overall from the field. So he had a really good week. He also had 8 total steals, I believe, 8 assists, I think. I might have messed up some of my graphics, but just realized. I think he said he had 8 steals. I think he had 8 assists. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
Oh, well. Things happen. Maybe I'll go back and change it really quick. There's still time.
There's time.
There's like 1 minute. But anyway, congrats to Carter Davis.
Yeah, with the wins last week, Skyview boys basketball wrapped up the Region 11 championship regular season champs. In fact, you can see it in the photo gallery that they had the trophy there in the arena after the game. And because they've run through region play undefeated, unscathed. We thought that this would be the top team in the region going into the season, and they have proven to be just that. And same thing happened last Thursday for girls basketball with the Ridgeline. The Ridgeline girls have gone through region play. In fact, they've gone through all season without a loss. And with that win on Thursday, they are assured the region title, even if they lose both games this week. There's no winning a share of the title. They will win it outright because of tiebreakers. So it's both the Skyview boys winning the region crown and the Ridgeline girls winning the region title. Still games to be played this week. No RPI rankings this week because it's the last week of the regular season, and then the final RPI will be revealed on Saturday, which will also set what the playoff picture will look like for 4A boys and girls basketball. Another quick timeout here in the Full Court Press. We'll continue the discussion. Love to get your thoughts and comments as Utah State gets ready for Air Force tonight in the Spectrum. Tip-off at 7 o'clock. Pregame coverage with KVNU Game Day starting at 6.
Stop. If you're shopping for tires, stop. Don't buy tires today. Wait, because the biggest tire sale of the year is starting tomorrow at Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. There's no need to shop around because you'll get the absolute lowest prices in town or online on your favorite brands including BF Goodrich, Michelin, Cooper, Toyo, and Goodyear. I repeat, do not buy tires today. The best tire deals are coming Wednesday to Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. Tire prices so low you won't believe it. Choose 6 months, no interest, no credit check financing, or layaway. The biggest sale of the year is starting Wednesday at Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. The deals are so good the manufacturers won't allow the prices to be given over the phone. Don't miss the Discount Tire and Automotive warehouse sale, 4 days only, starting tomorrow. Go to Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield.
Discount Tire.
So much more than a tire store.
Schreiber Foods in Logan is hiring overnight technicians for maintenance and energy systems. People who can repair, troubleshoot, and perform preventative maintenance on a variety of automated equipment. You'll also have the opportunity to participate in their upcoming expansion projects. Energy systems technicians at Schreiber Foods work with ammonia systems, boilers, and refrigeration. Schreiber Foods doesn't just invest in equipment, they invest in their employees too. Enjoy an 8% 401k match, an employee stock ownership plan, an on-site health and wellness clinic. Apply online at schreiberfoods.com/careers. Equal opportunity employer.
The Cache Valley Media Group Home and Garden Show presented by Anderson Seed and Garden is March 24th and 25th. As a business owner, you can visit with, invite, and explain to thousands of potential customers how your business can help. How else are you going to come in contact with several thousand people in only 2 days? The Cache Valley Media Group Home and Garden Show at the Eccles Eye Center. Google Cache Valley Home and Garden Show for details or call 752-1390 for more.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Cold this morning, and we've got more cold weather that before we're done with this winter. So make sure you've got the right stuff to make sure your vehicle is going to be operating properly in the cold, and you want to make sure that you get the right wiper blades to clear off the snow and the ice. Save up to $19 a pair on silicone wiper blades from Trico and Rain-X. You get a lot of other great deals at Napa Auto Parts on a variety of different items. Go check it out. There's 5 locations between Preston and Providence. That's Napa Auto Parts. Stat and player? You've got those ready?
I'm still in the middle of fixing my mistake from earlier with the player of the week. Like the tweets and Facebook posts and all that went out. The article was right. I had it right in the article. That's why suddenly comments were like, wait a minute. I made a mistake. But,
well, we will get that corrected.
Yeah, I'll resend all this stuff in a minute here.
In the meantime, let's get into the stat that blew our minds, shall we?
Yep.
Let's take a look at the numbers. It's the stat that blew our minds.
He did what?
On the Full Court Press.
Wow, that blew my mind.
All right, because I have a habit of stealing whatever it is you have prepared, I will let you go first, Jason.
All right, stat that blew my mind. So, You know how I love these like weird historic trends? I always talk about my favorite one, the different winner for the NFC East every single year since like 2004.
Yes.
Two of my other favorite trends, although maybe they shouldn't be because it meant one of my team lost the Super Bowl like a couple of times. But two trends that I've always kind of loved ended this past Sunday because the last 9 MVPs that made the Super Bowl lost. They made the Super Bowl, they lost. And also the last 6 leaders in passing yards to reach the Super Bowl lost.
Wow.
Well, Patrick Mahomes, he was the MVP, and he led the league in passing yards. Mm-hmm. He won the Super Bowl. Or he was on the Super Bowl winning team. So those streaks ended.
It's over.
And, that's that.
Right, we were joking about that last week. There were several trends that didn't seem to be in Kansas City's favor. But, stats. What do they know?
They're historical trends. They're fun, but not necessarily predictive.
Right. All right, for me, seems like scoring is up in the NBA, right? We've seen a lot of guys score a lot of points. Average points per game seem to be up. Well, if you've observed that, you're not too far off. There have been 116 days this season with at least one NBA game, and all 116 days had at least one player score 30 points or more. That's the second furthest into a season in NBA history where every single game day saw at least one 30-point performance. The record was set not that long ago, the 2020 to 2021 season, in which there were 140 days. But the way things are going right now in the NBA, I would guess that that streak could be broken.
And there's also like numbers about how many different 40-point or 30, how many different players have had 30 or 40-point games. The number of them is just crazy.
It's absurd.
It's
crazy.
Individual scoring is crazy.
All right, and quickly, our player of the week.
Time to see who the real MVP is.
If you have a good game, your game is going to say that. You don't have to say it.
Puts a lot of cool things in perspective anytime you're the first time doing something.
It's the Full Court Press Player of the Week.
Let's go!
All right, Jason, who's your player of the week?
So I'm going to go, as I always do, usually do, I should say. I think last week I might have gone somewhere else, but stay local. Utah State softball pitcher and also right fielder, Haley McLean. She set a Utah State record with 20 strikeouts. Program record in the Aggies' 9-inning win. They only play 7 innings. They went extra innings. Won over CSU Bakersfield. She's a freshman. She won Mountain West Freshman of the Week, naturally, and also Mountain West Pitcher of the Week. So great week there from Haley McLean.
She was also my player of the week.
I can tell by the way you reacted to that.
I just did a fantastic debut, great performance for USU. It seems a little bit weird. We look out the window and we still see a foot of snow on the ground, and we're talking about softball being underway.
Yeah.
So how a collegiate sports team gets itself ready to go play. Now, granted, they're not going to play around here, but how you get yourself physically and mentally dialed in to go and compete when the conditions here are less than ideal, and then not only just go compete and try to have a game, but perform like she did, that's impressive. Really, really impressive what she was able to do. So my hat also goes off to Haley McLean, softball pitcher and outfielder for Utah State softball. But if you've got a nomination, somebody that we should consider on a player of the week, somebody who stood out, feel free to send in a nomination, 435-339-0321 here on the Full Court Press. One other thing that we need to do quickly is reveal who won Pick 6 from last week. We didn't get a chance to do that on Monday, but one of them was Ashworth and Funk combined 3-pointers. The line was set at 7.5 in their game against San Jose. They only made 1. I took the under. You took the over. Walker Kessler blocks in his game, 2 games with Toronto and New York. Line was set at 4.5. You only got 2. We both took the over on that. Patrick Mahomes passing yards. Line was set at 281.5. He threw for 182. I took the under. You took the over. So far, I have 2. You've yet to get one yet here, Jason. Colin Sexton, in the game at Toronto, combined points, assists, and turnovers. Set the line at 35.5. I took the over. You took the under. It all added up to 31. So now you're on the board. San Jose State offensive rebounds versus USU. Set the line at 13.5. I took the over. You took the under. They had 14 offensive rebounds. That was a close one. Really close, but I got that one. And then final, length of the national anthem at the Super Bowl by Chris Stapleton. It was awesome. That was a great anthem performance. The line was set at 125.5, so basically just over 2 minutes, but it came in at 121. I took the under. You took the over. So sadly, Jason, I got 4, and you only had 1.
I had a good last couple of weeks with these. I'll get
you
back.
were kind of scrambling last second to get yours in, but
I'll come back with a vengeance.
All right, next hour we're getting Utah State and Air Force. Stick around.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Las Vegas Raiders came into this season as a popular pick to compete in the AFC, even win their division. But this season didn't shake out the way the Raiders expected. Despite the additions of All-Pro Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones, the Raiders regressed this season. With just 1 year under head coach Josh McDaniels, panicking may be premature. But after Derek Carr officially enacted his no-trade clause, the Raiders could be in trouble. The club now has no leverage in a deal with Carr, and if released, the team will be forced to eat $5 million in dead cap space and be unable to collect any additional value for parting ways with the 4-time Pro Bowler. Vegas is still an intriguing opening for plenty of veteran quarterbacks this summer, but if the team falls short of landing a reliable starter this offseason, failing to collect any valuable assets in exchange for a franchise quarterback could prove to be a costly mistake for the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.